Good morning, minions, and welcome to this week's episode of No More Mr. Fat Guy TV. Now, this week I really want to get back into looking at some of the things you can do to help you get started, or to the early days of your fitness and health development, or personal development, any change or transformation that you want to bring into your life, really. I really started looking back through some of my early blogs to try and extract from there some sort of general information, because obviously everybody's situation is going to be different. I mean, what worked for me is not necessarily going to work for you. There are going to be certain fundamental basics there that will apply to a certain degree, but overall, my situation is going to be different. It's unique. Your situation is unique, so. Really, when it comes to working out exactly how you're going to take your fitness forward, it really is a case of working with the trainer or whoever you're actually consulting and working with in order to get there. There's really, I guess there's two things that really came out of looking at those old blog posts, and I want to get into those. And the first one is very specific to fitness. And then when we get into the second one, it's very applicable to any transformation and change that you wish to make to your life. So if we start with the fitness-focused one, the rowing machine. Now, Britt of Walkabout Wellness is a huge fan of the rowing machine, and basically got me onto that almost straight away. It was straight away. There's a number of reasons. It does give you a good cardio workout, and it gives you a good all-body workout, but it's also low impact. So if, like me, you've got concerns about things like knees and maybe a bad back and that kind of thing, or the kind of bad back that you don't really want to be sort of out jogging on the streets, or you just hate running, which is kind of where I was. Really, the rowing machine is. The rowing machine actually doesn't get mentioned very often. You have a look on the running, there's a lot of the running discussions online, and you'll find that people are talking about, like, if a runner gets injured, or if somebody's looking for a cross training day option. The spin cycles, spin bikes get mentioned a lot. Some of the other machines that I don't know, like the strange, like the stair climby type things, and the I don't even know what they're called, some of them, but like Nordic ski type machines. Yeah, you'll see a lot of that kind of stuff mentioned. You'll see weights mentioned for cross training, but rowing machines don't seem to get nearly enough of a mention as far as I'm concerned, because I basically went from being completely unfit and overweight, and through a combination of the rowing machine and a little bit of weights, I basically lost an awful lot of a lot of what I've lost over the last 2 years. A lot of it was in those early days. My basic fitness improved no end through that combination. I basically got to the point where before I even dared to try and run 10 kilometres, I was rowing 10 kilometres. Before I dared to run a half marathon, I was rowing a half marathon. And certainly before I even felt anything like, not confident, but anything like that it was now possible for me to run a marathon, I rode 42.2 kilometres on a rowing machine. Now, in many ways it was quite boring. My backside got incredibly numb, sat there for however many hours it was. But it's a way of, it's a way of getting that exercise in a relatively low impact kind of way, but in a way that also delivers a lot of that cardio benefit, and in a way that will give you, that will build your fitness, and in a way that will, that you will have the fitness. If you've got the fitness to row a certain distance, then you've got the fitness to run it. You just got to get out there and practice running that same distance. For experienced runners or existing runners, it's a very, very good option if you're injured. If you've been told you can't run, it's an incredibly frustrating time. You just got to look through Facebook for anybody who's a runner who's currently been told by the doctor to rest for a few weeks. for like and like, I don't know, knee injuries or whatever. They will be. You have to be very careful talking to them because they can get quite touchy because of the frustration of not being able to get out there. And the rowing machine, I mean, obviously under certain circumstances, it's not going to work for them. But for many of these people, the rowing machine is going to be an option because it will give you that workout that the running would give you. Obviously, it doesn't give you some of the other things that you get on a long run. And I was just thinking back when I was first starting out, I was actually talking to a colleague who's an experienced marathoner. I mean, the marathon that I ran in 6 hours 47, he completed in just under 3 hours. I mean, that's kind of, as I was still heading out to the halfway, but not even the halfway, I was heading to maybe the quarter point. He was like, he came back the other way, passed me and gave me a wave. But when I first started out, we actually had a conversation one day, a chance conversation in the staff canteen, and it turned out he was injured at the time. He was not running, and so I mentioned the fact that I was doing a lot of work on the rowing machine, and the fact that Britt of Walkabout Wellness had recommended it very, very highly, and had told me that once I was able to row a marathon, then I can consider running one or training to run one. And he went away, he took that away with him, and I think it was like a couple of days later he came up to me and he said, I heard what you were saying the other day. He said, so I thought I'd go down and give the rowing machine. He said, oh man, he said, I've not had such a complete workout it's really tough. That was really tough. And I just kind of smiled at him, and I think we both went away, with a bit extra knowledge. But it's definitely worth checking out. Rowing machine, worth checking out. Now, the other thing that I really, as I say, and it's probably something that's at the heart of everything. When I was going through those old blogs, it's something that really, it's a skill or a technique or whatever you want to call it, that you're going to have to somehow make a part of your life. Now, I'll tell you how Britt helped me to make it part of my routine and part of my life. But it all comes down to the word habit. Now, I think there's even quotes online somewhere to say that your success is defined by your habits or words to that effect, and really that's what it comes down to. Because whether you get success in anything at all, whether you get success in terms of the changes you're trying to make, it really comes down to your behaviours. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, do you stay in bed until the last minute? Do you get up early, and do you go out and do some exercise? It's like these behaviours will define whether or not, these behaviours will define what your life looks like. These behaviours will define whether you're overweight or whether you're not overweight, whether you're fit, whether you're unfit, whether you're making a success of your business and getting new customers for your business or whatever, or whether you're sat there twiddling your thumbs and wondering why things are going to the wall. And behaviours are really driven by habits. And habits are incredibly powerful things, and unfortunately some of the most powerful habits are the negative ones. And most of us, and I certainly did, and I certainly do, have an awful lot of bad habits. And that's not just bad habits in terms of, like one of my biggest ones is picking my nails. That's a particularly bad personal habit, irritating for anybody that's nearby, but also extremely annoying for me because I really don't like to do it. It's just something I've got into a habit of doing over the years. But other habits are, you got habits around routines. You got habits around thinking. I mean, you've got habitual thinking. I mean, whether you think negatively or whether you think positively, whether you think in terms of waking up in the morning and thinking, what can I do today to take whatever it is I'm striving for one step forward, or whether you get up in the morning and you think, ooh, what's for breakfast? these are all habits, and I think one of the way that I was really introduced into habit adoption and habit changing was a very simple but powerful technique that was introduced to my routine right from the beginning almost. I think it was like the second week that Britt said, "Okay, this is what you're going to be doing." And at the time, it just didn't really make sense. It just seemed like it was actually a way of making changes to my lifestyle and my routines that would help me get healthy and help me get fit. The thing that Britt said was each week I had to think of one thing I wanted to add. So something that I wanted to add into my life and my routines, and one thing that I wanted to remove, and a weekly goal. Now, eventually, it sort of sunk in that what I was really doing was getting into the habit of making changes, and I was really getting into the habit of finding things that I wanted to introduce into my life, the habits that I wanted to develop, and also considering basically examining things that were taking me away from the goal. Another favourite phrase of Brit's, but things that were working against me, and basically reviewing them and identifying them, and somehow sort of taking them on. Each week I would take one on. Each week I would take on one thing that I wanted to add. I would take on one thing that I wanted to remove that was working against me. And the goal setting, I mean, it would just be something like, I want to row 500 metres in under 2 minutes 30. I mean, when I first started, I think I was doing about 3 minutes. So, I mean, there was a goal of rowing 2 minutes 30. There might have been a goal of, like my push-ups were awful. So there was a goal of, at one point, of no longer doing push-ups on my knees, but to be able to do all of my push-ups in the week as full push-ups. So it was just little things like that. And as I say, at one level, it was very much things that were just improving my health and my fitness and taking me forward in that way. But it really, at a more fundamental, powerful level, it really did get me thinking about habits, and it really did get me, in the mode of developing habits and removing habits, and developing the habit of goal setting. I mean, I think when I've gone through all this process and I've written about it and I've spoken about it before, I've really not done anything in terms of goals and planning since about the age of 14, 15. And the reasons for that have all been mentioned on the blog, but the goal setting thing kind of disappeared a long time ago, and I've kind of just muddled along, and that's really been reflected in the results, because the results have been fairly haphazard and not particularly effective. So the goal setting at a simple level in the early days is going to help you in terms of just keeping going and just having something to keep an eye on, and to help you build the habits. Because once you start getting in a habit of, for example, getting up early in the morning, and you get in a habit of basically getting out of bed and getting ready to go and do some exercise, once you get in the habit of keeping an eye, keeping one eye and thinking about what you're putting in your mouth, once you get into the habit of drinking lots of water, once you get into various habits, they will all add up. You can do them one at a time. But once a habit is established, it's going to keep you going forward. It's going to become a natural part of your life. It's going to affect the way that you think. I got into the habit of walking a minimum of 10,000 steps a day, which basically, if you walk 10,000 steps a day, then anything over and above that can be counted as exercise. That's your basic level for a reasonably active lifestyle, that you've got those 10,000 steps a day. I got into the habit of walking, and what I found was, in terms of getting off the bus a couple of stops early, and this is what happened, is that my thinking started to change. I would get off at one stop early. Then my thinking one day changed to the point where I went, well, maybe I'll get off 2 stops early. And in the end, I was getting off the bus about 3 kilometres away from the office and walking in. Every time I went out at lunchtime, for example, I would, instead of walking direct from A to B, my thinking changed, and I started trying to come up with convoluted routes that would take me a distance of maybe 100 metres, but somehow covering 500 metres. I would go down some steps that would then require me to go and walk along the street and climb back up another set of steps to get to a point that was actually only maybe about 10 metres away from where the first set of steps were. It affects your thinking in ways that you can't necessarily predict or expect. So you really do need to. I mean, it's habits that everybody's got so many habits that they need to change, and so many habits they need to get rid of, and so many new ones that they need to adopt. So that can create a sense of overwhelm. So I'm just going to finish this now by saying that in terms of habits, concentrate on one at a time. Don't try and fix everything in one go. So just pick one thing that you want to either change, remove, or add into your life. And I'm going to set I'm going to set a challenge for this is being recorded right at the end of October 2013. And on a lot of the pages, it's very popular at the moment to be running 30-day challenges for abs, plank hold, push-ups, and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do for November is on my page is run a 30-day challenge, the 30-day habit challenge, and basically what I want everybody to do that's going to be taking part, and I'm going to be doing this myself. Pick one habit that you want to establish over the next 30 days, and basically every day just focus primarily on that one habit. Focus on getting that established. Don't worry about everything. Don't try and fix everything at once, like I say, because you'll end up with nothing working. So you pick one thing, and if you work on that for 30 days, at the end of that 30 days, they reckon, and I've read this somewhere, and how true, how scientific it is, but it takes about 30 days allegedly to establish a habit. At the end of the 30 days, that habit should be in place and should continue then to be part of your life. What you do after that is up to you. I would strongly recommend that you then pick another habit that you want to work on, and something you want to get rid of or something you want to add in. So that's basically what we're going to do for November. This will date the video. I mean, but if you're watching this in maybe 2015, you can still join in, kind of thing. Pick a 30-day period, one habit. Whatever that might be, it could be fitness related, it could be a personal habit, it could be something you want to do, and you might want to start carrying a pocketbook and taking notes. I mean, that's a good habit to get into. That's one that I've done. Is that you've got a notebook with you so you can jot down things as they occur to you instead of trying to carry them around in your head. You might want to stop picking nails. I think that's going to be mine. I want to stop picking my nails. I want to give that one another crack. You might want to start getting up early in the morning. You might want to give a regular lunchtime walk a go, or whatever it is. One thing, 30 days, and then report in on the Facebook page every day, and let everybody know how it's going. Get that accountability, so you're not just you can't just pretend to yourself. You get into a habit of going onto the Facebook page and telling people. Maybe that's your first habit you need to establish. But get on there, let everybody know how it's going. Any issues that you're facing, because we can all support each other, and get into the habit of setting habits. And on that note, I will leave you there, and I will see you next week. So bye.